Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's me. It's your friend Dom C, back with another installment of the 7 round mock draft series. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, wanted to knock out a little bit of general housekeeping. If you haven't done so, I'd really appreciate if you liked and subscribed to the channel on YouTube, Project Prospect with Dom C. Hit the bell for notifications, leave a comment in the video. Let's get some friendly discourse going. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. It really helps me out. The YouTube algorithm seems to really like that stuff, and it boosts me up a couple rungs so that my videos get out to more of the masses, if you will. I want to get as much content out to all 32 NFL team fans as possible, and I need your help to do so. So I'd really appreciate it. Again, it's the 7 round mock draft series, just an exercise going through, doing some mock drafts for each and every team. My goal is between now and April's real NFL draft, I want to go through this exercise with all the teams and just to give the fans a little bit of flavor, a little bit of ideas of what could happen and who could be there, so on and so forth. Again, these are done in my eyes in the sense of what I would do if I were making the picks, and a couple other rules that I want you to keep in mind. I did one for the Dolphins not too long ago, and the fans really got at me in the comment. Couple things to remember. One, I don't care about the PFF grade. That's not what this exercise is about. I'm going to pick players not according to what the mock simulator rankings are. I'm going to pick players based on where I think they are best fit in terms of round and so on and so forth. So I might take a guy that they have ranked 300th in the 3rd round just because that's probably in real life where I think he's going to go. So I want you to keep that kind of in the back of your minds. Don't worry about guys that I'm picking late for your team. Don't worry about the guys that are still on the board that I'm passing up. There's a method and a madness to all this thing. And again, this is February. It's pre-free agency. A lot of things are going to change. This is just an exercise just to have some fun and show you guys an outside view, a real high-level view of what a mock draft could look like for your team. So today I'm going to stay in the AFC East. Like I said, I've knocked off the Jets. I've knocked off the Dolphins. Now we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills, the cream of the crop in the AFC East for the past few years. They got their franchise quarterback. They got plenty of good building blocks all along the offense and the defense. But in a little bit of a predicament this year, Brandon Beane's going to have a little bit more work to do. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, courtesy of our lads, and just give you an overview of what the roster looks like now. Again, keep in mind, it's February. There's going to be tons of movement, of guys being released, guys being signed as free agents. Some of these unrestricted free agents being brought back. Between Brandon Beane's got his work cut out for him in terms of the salary cap gymnastics that has to be managed, and some major decisions on, like I said, current roster and current unrestricted free agents on who's going to stay and who might have to go. But he's got time before the new league year starts in the middle of March, so that's really not my concern. The Bills are going to become compliant. But if you look on our lads, there's a lot of yellow here. All the yellow is the unrestricted free agents. There's definitely some holes, right? There's going to be there's a new sheriff in town on the defense side of the ball. They promoted linebackers coach Bobby Babich up to defensive coordinator. Now he's done a phenomenal job really developing these young linebackers and seeing their growth from when they came into the league till now. Even someone who's just in the league 1 year, from the like Dorian Williams, from the first game or first practice to where he ended up, you could see the development. You could see the work that Babbage has put in with these guys. So I think it's a phenomenal hire. I think it's a phenomenal idea to keep good talent in-house and give them a little bit more responsibility. So Babbage is going to have his work cut out for him because the defense in essence, I'm not going to say needs an overhaul. They're a really good defense, through and through, with phenomenal pieces in Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver, Matt Milano. Hopefully he comes back healthy, as well as Trey White if he's still on the roster. But there's definitely the defensive line is going to be infused with probably a lot more young talent, as well as some veteran free agents that are brought in come the legal tampering period March 3rd. On the offensive side of the ball, the big holes, if you will, are going to be replacing Gabe Davis if he does leave for free agency. I mean, he's the number two wide receiver here in Buffalo, and then definitely adding some depth in the backfield. So how all those holes are going to get fit in this draft, I don't know, and that I can't promise you. Again, remember, it's an exercise done in February, not meant to be the be-all, end-all, just my thoughts and just some fun. So why don't I go ahead and bring up the old mock drafter. And I tend to always use PFF. For me, it's just the easiest to I think the functionality is the best, and so on and so forth. Again, please keep in mind, keep the ratings out of it. I don't care what PFF rates it. This is just my view, just an exercise to have some fun and maybe give you an idea from a high level, from an outsider, as you can see, a Jet fan, what I would do for the Buffalo Bills. So everything's set up. We're set up for 7 rounds. We're going to get this thing started. Like I said, there's some guys that I think are great fits for the Bills. Some that maybe would hope to be there. I for one, would love to see a guy like Jerzon Newton or Byron Murphy land in your lap. And unfortunately, in this mock draft, they didn't. And as you see, probably Byron Murphy went 11, Jerzon Newton went 21. Those are 2 guys like right off the bat. Leatu Lato, I think, is also a phenomenal player, phenomenal pass rusher, would offer high level NFL pass rush capabilities right from the get-go, but all those guys seem to be gone. Then you look at the wide receiver, which I know a lot of Bills fans, a lot of Bills Mafia are pining for first-round wide receiver, but a lot of them are gone as well, right? We know the top 3 in the class. They always go in the top 10, but then you have the likes here of Brian Thomas here at 23, Troy Franklin at 24, Ladd McConkey, a little rich for my taste, gone at 26. So when you think about, like I said, the big needs here along the defensive line, whether it be interior or in the edge, those big names are really gone. The wide receiver room there's still a couple guys here. Again, this is what I would do. I'm not the biggest Keon Coleman guy. I tend to, and no disrespect, the kid's athletic as hell. Goes up and can get the ball, strong hands. I just don't know how guys that don't separate well are going to translate to the next level. So I know that's a name that's bantered around, around Twitter, around the Draft Nicks, and especially Bills fans as someone to target. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trade down. Okay. Just the value of the players on the board here, I'm not sure I'm super comfortable with. So to boot, the Bills have 10 picks. I don't expect them to use all 10 picks, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my trade partners and see if I can find something that lines up. Yeah. This is, to me, a comfortable spot here with Washington. So I'm going to trade back from 28 to 36. That's an eight spot drop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take their 3rd rounder back, and I'm going to give them a 4th. I'm going to give them a 4th, and I'm going to give them a 7th. I'm going to give them a 6th and a 7th. So that's really 4 for 2, but the value itself is still swayed in favor of the Bills, which it should be. If Washington's trading up, you're probably going to win in terms of the trade value chart. So let me go ahead and offer this trade, and it was accepted. So the Bills are moving down, folks. We're going to move down, and we moved up significantly in the 3rd round. And that leaves us on the clock here. So Keon Coleman is still there. Not going to say that this isn't the right range for him, but he's not the guy that I like. For me, like I said, I like a guy who can separate a little bit more. You definitely, with Gabe Davis being gone, you want to add that missing speed element, a guy that can win at all three levels of the field, a guy that I think would complement Stephon Diggs, perfectly, is the wide receiver from Texas, Xavier Worthy. Like I said, reliable hands, just quick in and out of his breaks, real shifty, wins at all three levels of the field, gives you that speed element, can move all along the formation. Whether you have him in at Z, he can line up in the slot, he can play the mismatch very well. I think Joe Brady would have a field day with a guy like Xavier Worthy. So he's going to be my pick here for the Bills at 36. And now we're moving down to 60. Still need to address the defensive side of the ball, obviously. And that's probably where I'm going to look at right here, unless I'm completely bowled over with a selection or somebody that's on the board. I'm going to look at the interior. I'm going to look at the defensive ends. Braden Fiskey's a phenomenal player, really quick. I mean, the get off on that guy is phenomenal. There's Tavondre Sweat is here too. Man, he is hard to pass up. That power, um, you know, right then and there is your, Daquan Jones one tech solution right next to. Yeah, I don't think I could pass that up. Um, that one tech solution right next to Ed Oliver. Just nasty physical player, for a big guy, his share of pass rush moves, can move the pocket, and can push the pocket back vertically. Maybe not the slightest of feet, but stout against the run. He's a guy that's hard to pass up here. However, I think the bigger need, and I'm going to address that interior defensive line later. I think the bigger need might be who's going to play opposite Greg Rousseau. So if I look at the edge here, there's a guy that I absolutely love. Constant motor, physical, big body, strong, just a pressure machine. If you guys think back to like Carl Lawson in the Cincinnati days, Trey Hendrickson, guys like George Karlaftis in Kansas City, although their sack numbers are early Trey Hendrickson, because Hendrickson, that he's a sack machine now, but early Trey Hendrickson, and Carl Lawson and Carl Loftus, those guys were just constant pressure machines. And that's why I'm going to go ahead and take Braylon Trice here. Braylon Trice for me is really underrated. Phenomenal year in college, nose for the ball, always in the backfield. Like I said, strong hands, big build. Can get at the passer, whether it's power, whether it's the long arm. He transfers speed to power really, really well as well. Not the most bendy, not the most twitchy, but I think a good complement to a guy like Rousseau or Von Miller when they're on the field. So Braylon Trice is going to be my pick here for the Bills, and you fill that defensive end role. Now you're coming back. This is the pick we got in the trade back from Washington. And although Tavondre Sweat's off the board, and let me tell you, it was really hard to pass him. But I think that the defensive line interior has a little bit more depth than the edge class. I think it kind of falls off a cliff at a certain point. So now here in the third round, I'm going to go ahead and attack the back end of the defense. And for me, this is an area where you might see him go maybe a little bit earlier, maybe 10 picks earlier. Is probably 10 to 15 picks is probably his ceiling. But I'm going to go ahead and lock up Cam Kitchens. Just, that true, single high safety, comes downhill very hard and run fits, can open up his hips and run, sideline to sideline, all over the place. Good, good ball skills, high points the ball. I think he's got ball skills as good as any safety in this class. Definitely probably any safety in the past two classes, if I'm being honest. For me, this is a guy that just smells like he's an all-pro in the making. So I'm going to go ahead and take Cam Kitchens here. That solidifies, again, one piece of that defensive backfield that you had to stand. So we've taken the wide receiver, we've taken a dominant short area quickness, straight line speed, solid hand catcher in Xavier Worthy. We knocked off a pressure machine, stout defender in Braylon Trice to put on the edge, and we backed that up with a steal, if you ask me, early in round 3 in safety Cam Kitchens. So now we're going to talk about pick 99, the end of the 3rd round, and I don't have to look far here. We talked about T'Vondre Sweat, as that Daquan Jones one tech, run stuffing guy. I don't think the dip from T'Vondre Sweat to Dwayne Carter is all that much. Dwayne Carter's a guy, he flew under the radar a lot. I know he's down at Mobile. He impressed. Again, stout body, strong hands, definitely adept, more so at the stopping the run, but can definitely still give you something. Maybe not to the level of some of the other defensive linemen in terms of getting at the passer, but fluid athlete, fluid mover for a guy 300 plus pounds. To me, I think a guy that can come in and offer you something, offer a role right away. And offer some reps right away, right off the get-go. This is great value for him. So Dwayne Carter is going to be my pick here. Out of Duke at the end of round 3. So we got a little bit of time before our next pick, but we're already making some ground. 3 defensive picks, one on the offensive side of the ball. Some holes are being filled. Could use some more depth on the defensive line. Could use some depth at linebacker. Could use another safety, special teams kind of guy, maybe even a running back here. So we'll see what the board leaves us, and we'll go from there. Again, I'm not going to make any more trades. I've kind of made that one already. And we're here at 159. And like I said, I think the running back depth is something that's needs to be addressed. I think that the safety room still needs to be addressed with some more depth. I think the linebacker room could use some more depth. I wouldn't even rule out another wide receiver. But to me, we're in the 5th round. This is a guy that might not, come in ready to play or offer meaningful reps right from the get-go on the defense side of the ball, but he's definitely a guy that's going to affect the team and help the team in special teams. He's an absolute phenomenal athlete. And again, I'm going to stick to the University of Miami, and I'm going to take James Williams. 6'5", 235-pound safety that is kind of converting himself into a linebacker, can help in sub packages. Again, fluid enough, in coverage that, he can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs out of the backfield. He can cover those big slots. Understands zone defenses, can find the soft spots, plays with anticipation, comes downhill and his run fits like a bull in a china shop. Really, really strong, strong base, strong tackler, physical player, a project in the sense that, he's just going to have to learn how to play linebacker in the NFL, but a guy that I could see as your chase and tackle guy on the weak side in years to come with the tutelage of Bobby Babich under him. To me, James Williams would be a great fit, and we're going to stick in the U and take probably 2 of their more prominent defenders right off the bat. And we flip around right here, pick 162. Again, a bunch of different ways you can go. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to address some more safety depth. And I'm going to take a guy that I absolutely have come to love for. We took your prototypical, single high free safety type in Cam Kitchens, and I'm going to follow that up with more of a strong safety, if you will, box player in Kitano Oladapo out of Oregon State. Another guy who just flies all over the field. Again, the mold of these players that I'm getting are uber athletic, good freakishly, good skills in getting down, supporting the run. Um, Very versatile, very well tuned players. Oladapo is going to have some work. I don't think he's going to be a starter. Again, this is a depth piece. This is a guy that's going to come in and can get into that safety room, learn something maybe from some of the veterans there. Might take a couple years before he steps on the field as a starter, but definitely can offer reps if he needs to. Definitely going to be a special teams ace, if you will. So again, 5th rounder, you need to build some depth. Why not build it with good athletes? So we took James Williams to play linebacker. We took Katana Oladapo to play safety. For me, these are the pieces that those young, talented guys who Babich and Sean McDermott are going to have to develop into players as the years go on. They don't need to step in necessarily right away, but guys that I think will be good NFL players as they develop and as they cut their teeth in the NFL. So we got 2 more picks here, guys. We haven't touched the running back room. I'm going to take a peek and see what it looks like. And I'm not going to move from here. James Cook is, I think is a phenomenal back, and I'm sure Bills Mafia thinks the same thing, but you definitely need to replace that big body, that in between the tackles kind of runner that can get you those nasty yards, that can get you those short yards. To me, that smells like Isaiah Davis, small school kid, South Dakota State, big build, 6 foot and change, over 200 pounds, runs tough, runs low. Strong in between the tackles guy, not the most fleet of foot or the most agile, but he can hit a hole and he can get north and south and get vertical and gain those yards. Again, something that's really under valued in Isaiah Davis is what he can do as a receiver out of the backfield. Not utilized at South Dakota State as a receiver much. He was their bell cow, but wasn't asked to do a lot. But showed that he has the hands. Showed that he can do that while at Mobile in the one-on-one reps. Caught just about everything that was thrown to him. Not a ridiculously full route tree, but I don't think that's going to be asked of him much. Again, this is a committee piece that you're going to ask. James Cook is going to be your workhorse, but when he needs a break, when you need some short yard stuff, you can bring Isaiah Davis in, adept in pass pro, which is good for a young running back to come into the league. It's advantageous for them to see the playing field a lot more. So Isaiah Davis is going to be my pick here at 197. And with the last pick here at 202, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to address the offensive line, right? Mitch Morse, if he stays, is probably not going to be here much longer, right? So I'm looking at a guy that might have some center, guard flexibility, and I see him here. And for me, I don't have to go very far off of Tanner Bortolini. Again, a guy who played all over the inside, the interior line of for Wisconsin. He played both guard spots. He's adept to play both guard spots. He played center last year as well. Very agile, moves very well. Can get into the second level. Strong. Needs some more fine tuning. Needs some refinement, especially with his hand placement. Penalized a lot last year. I think he was flagged for 10 or 11 penalties. That definitely needs to be improved. But again, not a guy that needs to plug and play. This is a guy that can ultimately be your interior backup at all 3 interior spots. So Tanner Bortolini, a little bit more, a little bit more, fine tuning, if you will. I think he has a chance to develop into a decent NFL player down the road. And again, you need a backup left guard. You're going to need You're going to need somebody to get ready for when you move on from Mitch Morse, whether it's this year or a year from now. And to me, that this would be a perfect fit to finish off Buffalo's draft here in 2024. So we're going to let this mock play out. And again, guys, this is done in February. I've said it a few times now. So please understand, I know there's a lot of wheels that are going to change, or a lot of wheels that are going to be put in motion before free agency or during free agency. So some of these holes on the roster as it's constituted now are going to get filled. But this is just a different view, right? Let's look at what Buffalo can do if they trade down. If the value's not there at 28, what more can they accomplish? So again, don't worry about these grades. This is how we ended for you guys. You got your Gabe Davis replacement. You got your wide receiver number 2, probably your offensive weapon number 3 in the pass game, and Xavier Worthy, which I think is I love Xavier Worthy. He's my wide receiver 5 in the class. I think he's grossly underrated for some reason. All he does is score, red zone, all over the field. Crisp route runner. Create separation. Just a perfect player for Joe Brady and Josh Allen. They're going to become real good friends real quick. I then followed up with Braylon Trice, a guy again that I'm very high on. I think 60 is great value for him. I have him, I have him as a borderline first round pick. I just think that the work ethic, the mentality, the nonstop motor, and the constant, nose for the ball and nose for pressure is something that's going to win a lot of fans over in Buffalo. Cam Kitchens, again, great value here at 67. Probably steps in day one, and he's your free safety. Dwayne Carter on the interior, another guy, big body, one tech. Play him next to Al. Play him next to Ed Oliver, and it fills a lot of holes for that defense real quick within those first 4 plays. And then we grab some depth pieces here. James Williams, the linebacker, again, I think a guy who's going to be a phenomenal off-ball linebacker, chasing tackle guy, phenomenal athlete, hits like a Mack truck, going to have to learn and develop under Bobby Babich and Sean McDermott. But this is the kind of guy that, what he is now when he steps in the league is probably not what he's going to end up 3-4 years when this contract is up. Kitano Ladapo, safety, again, comes down hard, can play the run, solid post safety, play in the box, use him as a blitzer, very versatile chess piece to develop as another safety in that room. And the last 2 picks here, we added some depth in the running back room, a little thunder to the lightning of James Cook in the big old South Dakota State running back Isaiah Davis, and we followed it up with some interior line depth in Tanner Bortolini. Listen, is it perfect? Probably not. I know you guys in the comments are going to tell me how bad it is because I didn't take a wide receiver in first round, but again, I got your wide receiver early. I traded down, build up some more capital, build up some more depth. Got rid of some of those other draft picks. Again, I don't expect the Bills to use all 10 draft picks. I just don't think it's feasible for any NFL team these days with salary cap restraints to utilize all 10 draft pieces. So we had some fun. We traded back. Bills Mafia, I want you to tell me what you think in the video. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me how bad I screwed it up, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. I'm kidding. Anything you do for me, I'll make sure that I reply to you. And just to say it again, if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Bills Mafia, I hope you love this. This is Dom C. Until next time, I'll see you later.